Alrighty, time to shake off the holiday laziness. Alright, let's go. Hi, and welcome back to Rediscovering RC. My personal journey as I venture back into the world of RC and RC racing after an almost 20-year hiatus. I'm your host, Julio, and the journey is complete, but the adventure has only just begun. If you've been following me on my episodes, then you know that I had registered for the Miami Grand Prix down at the Homestead RC Raceway. And let me tell you, the weather was fantastic, save for a little bit of rain that we had during the event. But the team there was just able to get through the entire program without a hitch. The new facility is fantastic. If you've been there before and you know the facilities that they had before, you're in for a real treat the next time you go there, because the racetrack now is a lot bigger than before, a fantastic layout, and the grip was insane given that it was fresh asphalt. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about my X20 that's been converted to the 21, and let's talk about how it went. Okay, so on a personal note, I have to say that, for the very first time, the very first time I got up on that driver's stand and started driving the car, it felt kind of surreal, after, again, being almost 20 years. And I did, give the car a little shakedown run outside in my neighborhood. Luckily, I have some, asphalt that has been laid within the last year or so, so it's still pretty smooth and flat. But again, it was just a totally different experience from up on the driver's stand. It took me a couple laps just to get used to the car, get used to all my equipment. But little by little, I just started to, get used to it and start feeling at home. Some of the old reaction times, started coming back. Not that I didn't have any issues. I did have a couple of issues along the way that, I'll get into it in a little bit. But overall, it just felt great to have a radio in my hand again, be controlling it around the track, and to see some little flashes of brilliance from my past. So let me talk a little bit about the weekend, how it went, and what comes next. Okay, so I have to start this weekend off with a little funny story. So one of the things that I needed to get in preparing for the races, I had to get a body. Now, I had chosen the Biddy Design Hyper Body because I had heard a couple of things, good things about it online. And unfortunately, when I ordered my body from A-Main, and as it turns out, the package had their new 720 GT body. It's the one that kind of looks like the McLaren 720S. Which obviously, being a GT body, I wouldn't have been able to use it for this touring car event. So really, luckily, I happened to have this old Protoform Honda Accord from my old Associated TC3, which was still in the bag, hadn't been used, and as a last-ditch effort, because I wasn't going to have time to get another body for the race, and I just went ahead and gave this a TQ paint job with some old decals that I had lying around, and actually the original decals from the body, which are kind of yellowed from all the years that it's just been sitting on up on my shelf up here. But this got me through. If it hadn't been for the help of two fantastic Serpent drivers there, Justin and Jesus, I just want to give you a quick shout out for all the help that you gave me this weekend. Lending me a body to use with the car, just giving me setup tips, which overall the car just kept getting better and better over the weekend. So they lent me a body. It happened to be a Protoform Turismo body, which felt really good. But to get back to the story, I have to take a moment and give a great shout out to both Biddy Design and A-Main, who worked together. I contacted both companies, let them know what happened. The V-Day over at the Biddy Design immediately contacted A-Main. I'm not sure what went on behind the scenes, but A-Main not only refunded my purchase, but they sent me a replacement body. So from a customer standpoint, I really can't complain. They treated me spectacularly. Now, unfortunately, the second body that I got, also, was a 720 body inside of the hyper packaging. So at this point, again, as a customer, I felt satisfied. At least, they returned my money. So I really, the fact that they sent me another body free of charge, you really can't complain at that point. But I just wanted to make sure and let them know that they might have some other bodies with this, mispackage issue, in their inventory. So, Graham over at A-Main, he stepped up as well as part of their customer service over there at A-Main. He went over and grabbed the body by hand, confirmed that it was a hyper body, and had the fulfillment team, package it and send yet another body to me free of charge. So at that point, again, the two companies worked together. I'm sure that they've sorted it out, because he was going to make sure that they went through their remaining inventory at both locations, because they have two distribution points now. to make sure that they didn't have any more mispackaged bodies. So again, to both Biddy Design and A-Main Hobbies, I got to give you guys both a thumbs up for not only the quick response, but again, they went above and beyond in terms of making sure that I got the body that I needed. So although I didn't use it for this event, I'm going to be painting that body up so I can compete with it really soon. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about my experience there. So again, with the help of Justin and Jesus at the track there, they really allowed me to get more familiar with the car. Made some recommendations right off the bat. I did show up to the track with the default setup, which again, since I was converting the car, I went ahead and followed the guidelines of the base setup that's included when you build the car. So I went up there basically with the yellow springs front and rear. I went with the 400 weight CST shock oil. I went basically all the height settings, everything adjusted the way that the default setup goes, which is the default setup that you can find at the Serpent website. And again, with their help, it was kind of bore against logic. I know the body didn't help me much, so the body was a big improvement first off. The body Jesus let me to run at the event, did a lot to increase the downforce. The car with the base setup did feel kind of neutral going through the turns. It was just that entry, speed that was kind of a little tight going in, and then as I was coming out, it was a little bit loose. So a lot of the recommendations that he made, I went up all across the board. I went up to the red springs, which are the hardest springs up front, and to the orange springs in the rear, which are the second hardest. In all of those, there's also yellow, which is what comes in the kit, and then white is the softest. So I went up to those. I also made, Jesus recommended a sway bar adjustment, so I went from the 1.4s that come in the kit to a 1.3 in the rear. That helped immensely, and then from there it was just basically droop changes. I think I went a little bit lower in the droop just to get a little more traction coming out of the turns. But with these settings on that track, as high traction as it was, man, what a difference! And it really allowed me to get a little more aggressive through the turns, especially coming out, which was probably my biggest problem that I had all weekend. Is like the car wanted to loop around coming out of the turns. So overall, in terms of speed, this is an 8.5 turn motor. I was way down on power compared to what some of the other guys were running in modified. They were gaining, like probably 8 to 10 car lengths on me on the straight. And I had geared up, as high as I could with the gearing that I had. So, again, I wasn't really concerned about winning. I did make the A main. Of course, the sad thing is that there was only an A main. So, I started 9th out of 9 cars that were in the field for the final. There were a few more competitors. This was an exhibition class. I think there was 12 or 13 in all. Some people couldn't make it for the Sunday finals. The race was originally scheduled since it was an exhibition to be run on Saturday, but because of the rain that we had on Saturday, we kind of had to delay everything to Sunday. So, again, started 9th, finished 9th, but the important thing is that I finished the race. So, I really don't have any complaints. I got out of there clean. Not completely clean. I did have some issues over the weekend, so let's talk about that. All right, so overall, I'm fairly proud of myself. Driving-wise, I was okay. The biggest issue there that weekend was because it was a combination nitro and electric event, the dust that settles especially from the foam tires on the nitro cars, if you went offline to make way, forget it. You were totally in the marbles, just like in a real racetrack. You're out in the marbles, and those were the couple of incidents that I had. If you noticed my body earlier, I did have a couple of marks on it from the few times that I did hit the wall. But for the most part, I kept it pretty clean. One of the things that you'll notice right away is that I went away from the new steering blocks. I actually broke one, and it was the only set that I had, so I had to go to the old steering blocks. To be honest, and I'll have to double check, but it seems to me that the old steering blocks have a slight change in axle height, meaning that they adjusted the axle height when they went to the new steering blocks. So for whatever reason on this track, it did make a little bit more of a positive difference in terms of the entry that I was getting into turns. So I'll have to take a look at that, and using the old steering blocks may still be an option if you're running the 21. So keep that in mind. But overall, again, I broke a steering block. I had a couple of things come loose on me. So that's one of the things that you really have to take care of these cars and make sure after every single run that nothing's coming apart on you. Overall, let me see. So I did have a ball, basically the end of an arm on one of those impacts. The tip broke, so I did have to replace one of my upper front arms. And let me see, in terms of broken parts, that is, okay, very important. And this is kind of like, I had to MacGyver this a little bit. So one of the things that I did or one of the things that happened is that in the rear, I actually lost the pin to one of the CV joints. So as a result, if you notice closely, I kind of had to go to the old fronts that I had, the old front DJCs. And this kind of like saved my weekend because I didn't get these replacement parts. I tried ordering them as fast as possible. I didn't get them in time for the race. So actually these worked in a pinch. I was able to get through the weekend, didn't have any more breakage. So I'm happy that I had those. As I go through maintenance, I'll probably, I've since rebuilt my CV joints for the rear, so I'll probably be putting those back. But it's nice to have. So if you do the conversion that I mentioned in previous episodes where you use the updated front DJCs that are, I think these are stock on the front wheel drive version of the car. And again, I kept the original X20 drivetrain, for lack of a better word, because I do have the original spool and diff. I have the original out drives with the exception of the change to the upgraded front wheel drive DJCs. I'm still using the original belts for now. I do have like those low friction belts, the white ones that I'll probably upgrade at some point. And that's it. And I'm running blades all around, front and rear. So overall, like I said, I mean, this got me through the weekend. As far as any more breakage, that was pretty much it. So let me see. The right front is with the steering block that I broke. The CV, I lost the part there. And I did lose one screw from the bottom. So again, it's just one of those things where you just got to keep on top of the car. And that was it. I mean, I'm really happy that I got away with as minimal breakage as I did for my first time out in almost 20 years. And again, finished 9th out of 9 cars, but I finished the race, and that was the most important thing. So I think I'll finish up this episode with just a little bit of footage. Unfortunately, I showed up alone to the race, so the amount of time that I had to like take video footage or things like that is kind of limited, but let me go ahead and show you this montage that I put together. Well, I'm here at the Miami Grand Prix. I had a couple of runs out with my car so far. A couple of mishaps here and there, a couple of broken parts. First time at the track, but I'm having a blast. I hope to report more later. Well, we're wrapping up day one here at the Miami Grand Prix. As far as my day went, not too bad. The important thing is that I finished, didn't have any heartache at the running. I did manage to finish last out of 8 entries so far that ran in the seating practice, but little by little my lap times are coming down. I'm getting used to using a radio again. So let's see what tomorrow brings with the first round of qualifying. Well, it is 1:30 p.m. here on Saturday afternoon, and as you can see, there's still preparations being made on the track. It's been raining on and off again pretty much all day. The sun has been peeking in and out. If we can get the sun to stay out, it'll probably be a little bit, get the track dried quickly. But for now, we're still in a wait and hold pattern. So let's see. Alright, so this racing continues behind me. My day is done. As the old saying goes, in order to finish first you must finish, and that's exactly what I did. I really wasn't expecting much. I just wanted to be able to finish the day with a clean run. I got my clean run, and I learned quite a bit after so many years away. So I'm looking forward for my next race. I hope it's soon, whether it be off-road, on-road, whatever. So until next time, take care. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little montage there. I'm looking forward to doing some more racing in 2021. More importantly, I'm really looking forward to getting the off-road cars on track. I finally got my body for my daughter's car, so I'll probably be working on this during the holiday break to get her body set up and just do all the final prep for her so we can spend the day at the tracks one day soon. So in the meantime, I've got a car to work on. I still haven't done maintenance on this. I've been a little lazy, as you probably figured from the beginning of the intro there. But I am going to do a little bit of maintenance on this car, get her ready for the next race, and on for 2021. So until next time, I'm your host Julio. Take care.